So this assignment requires you to find an image that has an acute, obtuse, right, and straight angle. You're going to be measuring it and taking screenshots along the way. So first thing you need is an image, and this website is going to allow us to put the image in the background so we can use the protractor and move it around to find those measurements. So I found this really cool picture, and I'm going to save the image as angle image project. It's not really a project, so we'll put assignment. So that's the image that I'm going to use. Now, when I go back to the website, I can choose File and locate the one that I just saved and open it. All right, so as you can see that the protractor is on top of the image, so we'll be able to use it to measure. You can click and drag from the center of the protractor. You have your inner scale and your outer scale. And we can also click to rotate our protractor, but we're not going to need that for the first one I want to measure. I think my protractor is a little too big, so I'm going to change the size. You're going to do that by going to the protractor radius. That's the measurement from the center to the edge of the protractor, and I'm going to maybe set it down to like 175. If you go too small, that's fine. You can always put it back up. You can just click these if that's easier for you, but I feel like that would take too long for what I chose. So it's kind of hard for me to see. Actually, I'm going to go a little smaller. I think it's a little hard to see the black, so I'm going to change the color of the protractor to this blue, this pretty blue, my favorite color. All right, so I'm going to find the first angle I want to measure. I think that this is an obtuse angle, but I can prove it by using the protractor. So the way that I zoomed in and out was just by using my keypad with my two fingers. So we're going to make sure that the center is on the vertex and that it is lined up with one of the arms of the angle. So this one, we're not going to have to rotate the protractor because the side of the protractor already lined up perfectly with one of the arms. So because we are lined up with the right side of the protractor, we are going to be using the inner scale. So we're going to be using the pink numbers. So I come over here and I see that this is where the angle ends. And I can see that that is between, let's see, 125 and 130. I can change the size again on the protractor to make it a little bit smaller so I can get a more accurate reading. Let's try 100. That should be good. I'm going to be picky. Let's go a little smaller. Okay. So I'm zooming back in again. So I put it at 90. So you can see that it is between 125 and 130, and it looks like it's closer to 125. So we could say maybe 127 degrees. All right, so that is our first one, and something that might be helpful to do would be to zoom in when you take that screenshot. Remember, the screenshot is Control-Shift, and then the very top of your keyboard, center button, the rectangle with two lines next to it, and it'll let you capture that image. And you'll have it saved in your most recent downloads. All right, so let's look for another one. So I'm going to look at this one up here because this is going to require us to rotate. So I'm going to pick it up. All right, and if this happens, you can get rid of it by just double clicking on it because you don't need that. All right, so I set it on the vertex with the center point, but as you can see, neither of the bottom sides of the protractor line up with either arm of the angle I'm trying to measure. So you hover until you see this drag to rotate, and I am going to rotate it so that one of the sides is lined up. Once again, I am using the center here, and because I made it so small, it's harder to see those numbers. So I'm going to make my protractor bigger again. So as you can see, I'm having to modify and change as I go. You're going to have to do the same. There we go. All right, so I'm going to guess that this is either a right angle or an acute angle, but I could be wrong. So let's go ahead and check. So once again, we're lined up with this side, and I bet some of you are yelling at me right now and telling me I'm wrong, and that was exactly what I wanted. Anyways, all right, so we're going through the pink, the pink, the pink, and we're looking to see where it lines up, and this one is greater than 90 degrees, so it's another obtuse angle, and it is right between 100 and 110. As long as you're within 1 or 2 degrees, that'll be good enough for us to at least estimate the type of angle. And so this will be about 100 and I'd say 2 or 3 degrees. So you could take a screenshot of that one. But I already have an obtuse angle, so let's see if we can find something else here. All right, so I'm going to drag it along, find another vertex. So there's a vertex right there. All right, so I got to make sure that I rotate it so that way it's lined up with one of the arms of the angle, and it's lined up with this arm. So now I'm going to be measuring to see where this arm lines up. And if you need to, you can even hold something up to your computer screen, like a piece of paper or a note card, to help you better accurately see where that's going to line up with your tick marks out here to get a more accurate reading. So I have started on this side of the protractor this time. So you're not going to start at 180, you're going to start at 0. So we're using the outer scale. So you're going to measure and measure, and you're following along until you line up with this right here, which lines up with this guy, and that ends up being about 38 degrees. So then you would take a screenshot, Control-Shift, top middle button. It's a screen changing button, but it's the rectangle with the 2 lines. And we will capture that, and then you can add your details in your assignment later, and that gets saved.